Level 1. The first taste. You're 23. You just landed your first real job. 42,000 a year. Not much, but it's the first paycheck that ever had your name on it. In a font that wasn't Comic Sans on a birthday card. And the first thing you notice isn't the salary. It's the silence. Nobody claps. Nobody throws confetti when you deposit your first check. But somewhere, in the back of your mind, a quiet voice starts talking. It says, now you have to prove it. Prove what exactly? You're not sure yet, but you know people are watching. Your college friends, your cousins, the girl from high school who's now posting from Bali. So you do what feels natural. You buy a slightly nicer phone than you need, not the newest one. You're not reckless, just nicer. Then a jacket, then a night out that costs more than your electricity bill. Nothing dramatic, nothing that would make your parents worry. Just small, quiet upgrades. The kind that don't feel like decisions. They feel like keeping up. Here's the part nobody tells you at 23. Every one of those small upgrades is a rep, like weight training. The first time you spend money you don't need to spend, it feels foreign, uncomfortable even. By the 10th time, it feels normal. By the 50th time, it feels like who you are. And that's the trap. Not the jacket, not the phone, the rep. Because you're not just buying an object, you're training a reflex. And in 10 years, that reflex will still be firing, long after the reason for it is gone. Level 2. The upgrade trap. Fast forward 3 years. You're 26 now. Salary's up to $61,000. On paper, that's progress. In your bank account, it's a mirage. Because somewhere between 23 and 26, your expenses learn to run at the exact same speed as your income. Every raise gets absorbed before it even lands. You move to a better apartment. 1 bedroom, doorman, gym in the basement, you use twice a month. $600 more than the old place. You tell yourself it's an investment in your mental health. Maybe it is, but you also start leasing a car. Not because the old one broke down, it didn't. It's because you had a meeting downtown, and for 1 second in the parking lot, you imagined someone from work seeing you get out of it. That 1 second cost you $489 a month for the next 3 years. Nobody forced you into that lease. There was no gun to your head, just a feeling that said, this is what people at your level drive. Except, here's the quiet detail nobody puts in the brochure. You weren't at that level yet. You were renting the appearance of a level you hadn't reached. And appearances don't compound. They depreciate. The moment you drive that car off the lot, it's already worth 11% less. Meanwhile, the version of you that put that $489 into an index fund instead, he doesn't exist yet. Not in this story. Because right now, in year 3, you can't see him. You can only see the guy in the parking lot, watching you get out of a car that isn't yours. Level 3. The debt behind the curtain. By year 5, you're 28. From the outside, your life looks assembled. Good apartment, good car, a closet that could pass inspection at any dinner party. From the inside, it's a spreadsheet held together with duct tape. 3 credit cards. 2 of them carrying a balance that never quite hits 0. It just shrinks a little, then grows back like a tide. You've started doing the math late at night. Not because you're bad with numbers, because you're good with numbers. And that's worse. You know exactly how much interest you paid last year on things you can't even remember buying. $1,400 gone. Not into an asset, not into your future, into a bank's quarterly earnings report. Here's the part that stings the most. You're not broke. You make good money, better than most people your age. But you've built a life that requires every dollar of it, plus a little more, just to keep standing still. Economists have a phrase for this. Lifestyle creep. It sounds harmless, almost cute, like a plant slowly growing across a windowsill. But creep is the right word, because it never announces itself. It never sends a warning. It just arrives. One subscription at a time. One I deserve this at a time. Until one day you look up and realize the walls have moved, and you're the one who moved them. Level 4. What it costs you in people. Now you're 31, and this is where the real cost starts showing up. Not in your bank account, in your relationships. Because image isn't just expensive to buy, it's expensive to maintain. And maintaining it means you start making decisions based on how they'll look, instead of how they'll feel. You skip your best friend's low-key backyard wedding, and fly out to a destination one instead because it makes a better photo. You stop inviting people over because your apartment The one you convinced yourself was a status symbol suddenly feels too small, too plain, not enough. You start measuring dinners by which restaurant, not which people. And slowly, the friends who liked you before you had anything start slipping to the edges of your life. Not because you pushed them away on purpose, because you spent a decade optimizing for an audience. And an audience isn't the same as a relationship. An audience watches. A relationship shows up when your car breaks down, or your dad's in the hospital, or you're sitting alone at 2 in the morning, and you actually need someone. Here's the quiet tragedy of chasing appearance for 10 years. You can gain followers. You can gain compliments. You can gain that flicker of envy in someone's eyes when they see your life from a distance. But you lose depth. Because depth requires being seen up close. Flaws, debt, fear, and all. And you spent a decade making sure nobody got that close. Level 5. The opportunity you never took. 33 years old now, and this is the cost that never makes it onto a bank statement. The opportunity cost. Somewhere around year 4 of this decade, a friend from your old job pitched you on a small business idea. Nothing glamorous. A logistics side operation, boring, unsexy, the kind of thing nobody posts about. He asked if you wanted in. $8,000 to start. You didn't have it. Not because you couldn't have had it, but because $8,000 was sitting in your closet, in your driveway, in your dinner receipts, already spent on a version of you that looked successful but wasn't. You said no, he didn't. Today, that business is worth more than your entire net worth. This is the part nobody warns you about at 23, when you're buying that first slightly nicer phone. Every dollar spent trying to look like you've already made it is a dollar that can never go toward actually making it. It's not just gone, it's gone twice. Once as cash, and once as the version of your future that money could have built. Compound interest doesn't care about your image. It doesn't know you drove a leased car to impress a stranger in a parking lot. It only knows one thing, time. And you spent your best 10 years of it renting a costume instead of buying equity. Level 6. The mirror. Now you're 33, sitting exactly where we started. Watch on your wrist, car in the driveway, apartment that looks like something out of a catalog. And for the first time in 10 years, you actually sit down and calculate the truth. Total spent trying to look rich over the decade, just under $110,000. Not on rent, not on food, not on anything that kept you alive or made you better, on appearance, on the gap between who you were and who you wanted people to think you were. Now here's the number that actually breaks something in you. If that same $110,000 had gone into the market instead, steady, boring, unglamorous, at an average historical return, it would be worth roughly $300,000 today. And it would keep growing with or without you watching it, silently, without needing an audience, without needing anyone to see it in a parking lot. That's the real cost of 10 years spent looking rich. It's not the money you spent. It's the money that never got the chance to grow. It's the friendships that got quietly replaced with acquaintances. It's the version of you, 33, financially free, sitting on real ownership instead of monthly payments, that never got to exist. Because you kept paying rent on someone else's opinion of you. Nobody warns you about this at the start, because at the start, it doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like a phone, a jacket, a car in a parking lot. But 10 years is a long time, long enough for small choices to compound into a life. The question was never, can you afford to look rich? Almost anyone can for a while on credit. The real question is quieter than that. It's the one that shows up at 2 in the morning when the apartment is finally silent and there's no one left to impress. What did you actually build while you were busy looking like you already had it? For some people, the answer is nothing. For others, it's not too late to change it. The difference isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's the decade you have left, and whether you spend it renting an image or finally in them building something real.